We're about to take a tour of the most complex object in the known universe. And the crazy part? You carry it around with you every single day, right inside your head. We are, of course, talking about the human brain. So, first things first, let's talk weight. The average adult human brain weighs in at about 3 pounds. That's it. Just 3 pounds of matter holds all your memories, your entire personality, your hopes, your dreams, everything that makes you, you. It's an absolutely incredible amount of power in a surprisingly small package. And what is that 3-pound package even made of? Well, you might be surprised to hear this, but your brain is about 60% fat. Seriously. The rest is just a mix of water, protein, and salts. That makes it the fattiest organ in your whole body. And just to clear up a common myth, no, it is not a muscle at all. Which brings us to the central, kind of mind-bending question, right? How does this 3-pound lump of fat and water, generate every single sight, sound, feeling, and thought you've ever experienced? How does it create your entire reality? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look under the hood. Okay, so first up, let's check out the basic architecture. You can think of the brain's physical structure as the hardware, the amazing biological machine that makes everything else possible. So at the highest level, the brain is really broken down into 3 main parts. You've got the cerebrum, that's the big, wrinkly part on the outside, and it's the command center for all your thinking, learning, and deciding to move. Tucked right underneath that is the cerebellum, which literally means little brain, and it's absolutely crucial for balance and coordinating your movements. And then finally, you have the brainstem. It connects everything to the spinal cord and manages all the automatic stuff you never have to think about, like your heart beating and, breathing. But these big structures are really only half the story. To truly understand how the brain works, we need to zoom way in, from the hardware to its incredibly intricate wiring. This is the network that lets information fly around at unbelievable speeds. And that wiring is made of 2 main types of tissue, gray matter and white matter. The gray matter, which is mostly on the outside surface, is where the actual processing happens. The white matter on the inside is basically the brain's cabling system, all the pathways that transmit information between different regions. So a simple way to think about it is gray matter computes and white matter communicates. This whole model of processing and transmitting information, it leads to a really powerful idea called the computational theory of mind. This theory suggests that the brain works a lot like a biological computer. It takes in sensory data as input, it processes that information, and then it produces an output, which is your thoughts, your actions, and maybe even your consciousness itself. So if the brain is a biological computer, what are the microchips? Well, they're called neurons. Your brain has billions of these tiny, specialized cells, and they are the fundamental units that do all the work, firing off electrical and chemical signals to talk to each other. Okay, so this brings us to one of the brain's most incredible abilities, making memories. How does this network of billions of neurons actually learn something and then remember it? Well, the answer, weirdly enough, was discovered by studying a very, very simple creature. This was the exact question that drove a Nobel laureate named Eric Kandel. He wanted to get past just the psychology of memory and find its physical basis. Like, what actually changes in the brain's hardware when we store a new memory? To find the answer, Kandel and his team turned to the humble sea snail. Now, you're probably thinking, why a snail? Well, it's because it has a super simple nervous system, only about 20,000 neurons, and a lot of them are gigantic. I mean, large enough to see with the naked eye. This simplicity was the key, letting researchers watch the mechanics of learning at the most fundamental level. So they focused on one simple defensive reflex, when the snail withdraws its gill. They were able to map the exact neurons that control this one action. This gave them the perfect little laboratory to watch precisely what changed in the snail's wiring as it learned. And what they discovered was, well, it was nothing short of revolutionary. Short-term memory, like remembering something for just a few minutes, turned out to be a temporary chemical change. It just made the existing connections, the synapses, a little stronger. But long-term memory, that was totally different. It involved creating new proteins and physically growing brand new synaptic connections. It's a real structural change. I mean, just stop and think about what that means for a second. Every single time you learn something new and really commit it to long-term memory, You are physically changing the structure of your brain. You are literally rewiring your own hardware. The act of learning is a biological act of creation. So we've got the hardware, we've got the wiring, and we even have an idea of how it rewires itself. But all of this leads to the biggest, deepest mystery of them all: consciousness. How does all of this biological machinery produce the private, subjective experience of what it's like to be you? Right now, in the world of science, there are two leading and totally competing theories. The first one, called global neuronal workspace theory, argues that consciousness is all about thinking. It's like a spotlight in the front of your brain that takes one piece of information and broadcasts it for the whole brain to see. But then you've got integrated information theory, which says, no, 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 consciousness is about pure sensing and experience, and it's generated in the back of the brain where all the raw sensory data comes in.
So who's right? Well, we don't know yet. And honestly, this is what makes science so cool. Researchers are actually running adversarial collaborations, experiments specifically designed to pit these two theories against each other. The first big results just came out, and they were mixed. Some data supported one theory, some supported the other, but really the results challenged both. It's a perfect reminder that science isn't some book of facts. It's a dynamic, messy, ongoing quest for answers.
And this whole quest leaves us with one last really profound thought. The brain is the only organ we know of that studies itself. And as it gets closer and closer to cracking its own code, what will that mean for our understanding of what it is to be human?